All right, so we are live.
Good.
Welcome everyone to this weekend special. We have none other than Sangeeta Jani ji from India. There are many ways to introduce her, but I thought her name itself is an introduction. Jani rhymes with Gyani, which is somebody who is very wise, and Sangeeta rhymes with Sangeet, which is music. And for us, she is somebody who makes the most profound wisdom come out like music in such a melodious way. And that's the easiest way to really understand the depth that she brings to any conversation. She's of course been with the Art of Living Foundation for many years, one of the founding members of the chapter in Bombay. She was blessed to be trained directly under the guidance of Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, and in the Bay Area, her popularity is next to no one else. So we can't wait to get this conversation started. So welcome, Sangeeta ji. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today.
Thank you. That was so interesting. No one has ever introduced me like that. Music, Sangeeta. My parents, how you have that baby book when you're born, and how so your name is Sangeeta, and then they ask you, why did you choose this name? So my parents said, because we would like her to sing. They were so fond of music. And there's one thing I cannot do, and that is sing. I just cannot sing. So much so that once I remember someone brought this, was it camel milk or horse milk or some milk? And they said, this is really good for the throat. So Gurudev said, yeah, why don't you give this to Sangeeta? Because it's been a lifelong ambition to be able to sing. And Gyani, you said, and that's what Gurudev initially, that's what he used to say, that Jani comes from Gyani.
Yeah, I was meditating one day and the thought just struck me. So Sangeeta ji, I do want to start. You were a very successful, highly acclaimed gemologist before you started your journey in the art of living. And a gemologist basically understands the value of gems, and they have techniques to do that. I think you still are a gemologist because now you are understanding the gems hidden within each individual in the world.
Yeah.
And is silence one of those techniques to find that hidden value of the gems that lie within all of us?
To bring out the gem in each person? Yes, I think so. It definitely helped me. It brought out the gem in me. No, but no, but yeah, definitely. I think it's just the grace, and techniques are techniques, but techniques without the grace, um, it's just another technique. So what really makes you shine, what really brings out that quality in you is the grace. And that's what all our techniques are there. They're instruments of the grace to flow.
Absolutely. And Sangeeta ji, you've traveled all over the world and taught people how to meditate. You've taught people how to teach people how to meditate. Um, what has been your experience? In today's world, we all are talking about what connects humanity. Is meditation, silence, these practices, are they, valuable to achieve that objective?
Oh, definitely, that's what it does. When you go into silence, it takes you to your true nature. And your true nature is very expanded. Your true nature is not limited by identity. It's expanded, it's all encompassing. So when you reach that point, when you experience, when you're in that state, you definitely feel a sense of bonding and belongingness with the whole world and everything around you, all of creation. So definitely, yeah.
That's wonderful. And we any adventures when you've taught around the world. This is going to be a global silence course. Yeah, I really enjoyed a couple of your experiences in Australia. We would love to hear those, of the
So
silence
as
course.
a traveling teacher, you're only having experiences all over the world. And each one's funnier than the other when you talk about it in hindsight. But at that time, when you're going through it, it's not as easy. So the Australian one. So I'm going to tell you about this time when. So I was once telling Gurudev how if I continue traveling at this pace, I'm going to become a bird. Really, I was spending more time in air than I was on land. And then, so I told him that, and then cut to in a few days again. I went from Bombay to New Zealand, New Zealand to Bombay, Bombay to Egypt, and he called me in Egypt, and he goes, when do you get free? I said, my course just got over. I'm leaving to go back to Bombay tomorrow. Oh, very good. You're coming back to Bombay. You do one thing. Are your clothes washed? You need to change, you repack, stuff like that. So why don't you do one thing? Take a few hours over there, repack, and then come to Bangalore. We're going to Australia. So now you have to understand that all this has happened in just a few days, right? In like Australia and New Zealand, they're really far. To go from Bombay to New Zealand, New Zealand to Bombay, Bombay to Egypt, Egypt to Bombay, Bombay to Bangalore, Bangalore to Australia, and Australia back to Bombay. All this happened in 10 days, meaning teaching courses back to back. So he says, come and we go to Australia. By then, I was really, really exhausted. And so I go to Australia and I land there at the airport and I meet so many of the participants and I recognize people and they go, oh, Didi, come, we'll take you to the hotel. And, someone will come to receive me. Why don't you all go ahead? And then so everyone has left and then slowly the crowd starts thinning out and I figure out that there's no one really there at the airport and people are ready to shut shop. They're just closing everything. And I'm like, what's going on? They said, well, the airport closes at 9:30. I said, in India, the airport never closes. There are flights coming in round the clock. And so I said, okay. And then luckily in the meantime, a friend calls me and she says, I'm coming up to your room. I said, what room? I'm at the airport. I'm waiting for someone to come receive me. She says, what are you saying? Okay, okay, we're coming to the airport to receive you. So she comes to the airport and by then the airport is closed down. So I take my suitcase outside. I sit on top of the suitcase like that, waiting for someone to come get me. By then, I was so tired that I was thinking, listen, I didn't want to call anyone. I didn't want to do any of that. I said, at some point, they'll realize that the teacher in the course is missing, right? so, so I said, they'll come looking for me. Anyway, she comes to pick me up and then we go to the airport, we go to the hotel, and then there are all these people in Kanjivaram saris and all dressed up and they're all waiting over there. I'm like, and I was in traveling clothes. So I said, I can't go in looking like this. So I said, just let's drive around the block a little and then come back. So we kept driving. After all that flying, we kept driving. And then every time we went back to the hotel, we saw that all those people are still waiting there. I said, really, doesn't matter. I don't care what I look like. I don't care what I'm wearing. I really need to go to my hotel room and sleep. So I get out and I go in, and it seems they're all waiting for me with food and stuff. They were waiting for me. And you know what had happened? You know why they were waiting for me? They were feeling so bad because Gurudev landed before me. So they all wanted to be with him. They have all run after Gurudev and they have sent a new volunteer to receive me at the airport. Now, new volunteer is happy to receive Sangeeta Didi because, he kind of feels that he's not going to get much time with Gurudev. So Sangeeta Didi is not a bad option. Let's go to the airport to pick her up. So he comes to the airport. Now, before I land there is one Maori lady who who lands over there. She's wearing all black. She's Maori. So he goes to her and he says, are you Sangeeta Didi? She says, yes. So he bows down, he touches her feet, she blesses him. He gives her flowers, she receives them. He picks up her suitcases, puts them in his car, drives her to the Shangri-La Hotel, swipes his credit card, gets her a room, tucks her in, comes out and tells everyone, Sangeeta Didi is very tired. Shh, don't disturb her. Dave's wondering, Sangeeta's too tired to meet me? What happened to her? So anyway, no one bothered to disturb me. It was that me was a Maori lady. And then later they realized that I was at the airport. So they all felt so bad. And Gurudev has laughed and laughed and laughed when he heard this story. For the longest time, wherever he went, he told everyone this story. So there have been many, many adventures like this. When, when you travel, uh, in
That's
Australia,
hilarious.
at the same time, there was something else that happened. So I was teaching the advanced course.
Mhm.
And so usually around noon, Gurudev, comes to to conduct a meditation. And Gurudev has walked into the meditation hall. Meditation is going on, and the the recording is going on. It's playing. They're all meditating. After he walks in, it goes blank. There is nothing. So there's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and there was nothing. And then when I looked at the iPod, it just said that there were a few seconds left. And there was no, that chant was that Asangoham, the chant was, it would take more than those few seconds. So I said, something's gone wrong. So I go up to Gurudev and I say, Gurudev, something has gone wrong on this, the recording. Can you please do this live? So he says, yeah, even I was wondering that, why is there nothing coming on? So I said, please, can you please do this live? So he says, okay, don't worry. And then he chants live. He chants it live. I am telling you, it was a whole different experience. It was like him chanting live. It was, I cannot even explain. It was completely different. But the thing is that I'm using that iPod even today. It never happened after that. It never happened before that. It only happened that one time when he came to the hall and he sat there. That's the only time it happened. I'm telling you, it's not just us, but there are also those angels. I mean, it's clear. How would it just happen that one time? There were probably all these angels over there who also wanted to hear him chant it live. That's what I guess. That's what I figured. But yeah, that was quite something that happened that time.
That's so profound and so beautiful. And Gurudev is going to also be conducting live meditations in the upcoming silence program.
The
Uh,
Guru Purnima one, right? So
yes.
even we're going to be meditating to the same meditations, but we're going to have to adjust our timings to yours.
Oh, really? Okay.
We're going to be doing it simultaneously over here as well.
Wow. Wow. So how, for somebody who has probably not taken a silence program or not taken one with Gurudev, how valuable would this opportunity be to, take one online with him where he's conducting the meditations live?
Invaluable. You, there is no way to measure how valuable it is. It's very rare that, where you come in a human body at the same time that your master is in a human body. It doesn't happen every lifetime. That, an enlightened sits there and conducts a meditation himself. It's very rare. You have to be really blessed to be there at the same time to experience it. I remember in the olden days when I first met Gurudev, all the meditations were conducted by him because there were no tapes, there were no audios, there was, nothing really. It was he would conduct all the courses himself, and they were so beautiful. They used to be really long meditations. And we would just sit there for an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, just meditating with our eyes closed. And then, he made advanced course teachers, and then many people started doing the course. So then at one point he said that, new people are unable to sit so long. Not everyone can sit for meditation for an hour, 2 hours. So why don't we reduce the duration of the meditation? Meditations can be about 20-25 minutes, and then that should be enough. So for us, we had not experienced a 20-25 minute hollow and empty, because they were always around an hour or more. So we said, but Gurudev, how will they have that kind of an experience that we've been having? And he says, oh, don't worry, they will have the same experience. And we do. And we do. Even today, it's the same experience. So, in our courses, that's exactly what I was trying to tell you. It's a grace, not the instrument. The meditation is an instrument, but he decides the experience you're going to have. It's a grace that, that gives you the experience. Same with yoga also. I remember when I'll deviate from the advanced course. When I first started teaching the yoga course, when we introduced the yoga course in India, so Gurudev just gave directions, and he says, why don't you start teaching yoga and, create a manual kind of a thing on a program, a 5-day program, 2 hours each day, no more. And I said, but Gurudev, in 10 hours, it's very hard to teach anyone yoga. It took me so many years to learn yoga. And so with him, he knows what he's saying, right? So you don't argue with him. He knows how long it takes to learn yoga. I don't need to tell him that. And then later I said, Gurudev, of course I hung up, and then later I realized, I said, people don't do meditation. People don't do yoga for enlightenment these days. They do it to lose weight. And how is that going to happen in 10 hours? And so that's all. And then Gurudev leaves it open-ended, right? He doesn't feel he has to answer anything and everything. And so then I said, okay, fine. I have told him whatever I have to. And then I started making the whole flow of the asanas that we'd be doing. So I had so many Surya Namaskars and all these different positions and so much. I said, they have to lose weight. In my head, I was thinking they have to lose weight, they have to lose weight. So I made this whole program for them. And the first day I go to class, I had 200, I had close to 300, 200 and some, people in class. And I looked at them and they were like, because in India till then, people thought in their head that yoga, meaning it's, when you get really old and then you do these simple stretches. And so there are these old women who were wearing saris, and they came and stood in front of me, expecting me to teach them yoga. But I had planned all these pretzel positions. So how am I going to get them to do it? They couldn't even touch their knees, forget their toes. You will not believe, by the fourth day, they looked like they had been doing yoga all their lives. And then on the last day, I said, this is my first course. Would someone like to share? And there's this one lady says, I think I've lost 2 kilos. Another says 3, 4, up to 5 kilos they had lost in 4 days. And there was one man who came and sat on that chair every day. He would not even blink. He would not even do this. He didn't even do finger asana. The only asana he did was chair asana. That's all he did. And then he says, I want to share. I said, what is this man going to share? He's done nothing. And he shared that he had come there with a slip disc, and the pain had disappeared just by him sitting there in that course. The pain disappeared. So, our courses are about grace. They're not so much about technique. Technique is there. There are many colorful techniques. If you want colorful techniques, there is a world full of colorful techniques. You go online, you will get all the techniques you want. You read books, you'll get all the techniques you want. But it is like, you're like having a pretty spoon, but no soup in your bowl, So it's like that. The technique's just an instrument. It's just a spoon to eat the soup, which is the grace. And that's not going to happen if there's no soup. You'll just be left with pretty technique. So having the master there, being able to do a course with him live there, conducting the meditation, there's no blessing greater than that. And you don't want to miss an opportunity like that, ever. ever. I wouldn't.
Uh, that I mean, I'm still processing the everything that you've shared so far. But part of my mind is, okay, so how do I get that grace, or what is the effort involved? But then there's also, some realization that there is an element of effortlessness. So could you speak on effortlessness, and the grace?
So, grace is like the sun, right? You don't really have to make any effort to get the sunlight. All you have to do is draw your curtains open and the sunlight comes in on its own. It's waiting to come in. All you have to do is draw the curtain open. So if you're open to it, then the grace is there. You're surrounded by grace. You're floating in grace. You just have to open yourself to it. And how do you open yourself to it? All these courses help us. That's when the techniques, the grace, all that helps us.
Nice. And Didi, I have seen you in some of our knowledge wisdom series, which were, uh, you know, recorded some time back. Uh, how
When I
did
was younger, you mean?
you?
Politically correct.
You were just looking fabulous. I know I was in a blessing course in 2012. I remember being awestruck back then. I'm awestruck right now with your smile, with your glow, even if it is what 10 p.m. at in India. Um, I mean, but how has your journey been? In those days, and even now, if you end up watching those videos again, and what do you feel? Or
It first and foremost, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. It feels like it was just yesterday. And journey has just been so smooth. I don't even know how the transformation happened, what happened. I honestly can't take credit for anything. I haven't really done anything to experience, you know, the change. I mean, I don't know what I have done, what my role was in the transformation uh, that has happened or that I have experienced so far. Um, so I haven't done anything. I remember when I first met him. This is a popular story. I've said this very often, and I've said it often because I really want everyone to hear this and know this, because it helped me so much in my journey. Uh, when I first met him, he said that, Sangeeta, I'm pulling the cart. The only thing you have to do is make sure you remain seated on the cart. You don't have to do anything else. I'm doing it all. Just be there on the cart. And true to his word, that's exactly what's happened. I, I really haven't done anything.
That's,
Say.
I think that's there's a touch of humility as well that's speaking, and it's so amazing to hear that. Uh, Sangeeta ji, I did have on a lighter note, you're known as a celebrity teacher in Bombay. You
Uh,
taught, all the celebrities uh, uh, in the film industry or outside. My question is, their notion of celebration um, is very different from being in silence. So how was it for you to communicate the fact that silence can be a celebration in itself to people who are always in activity and who are always looking to celebrate on the outside? How was that transition?
we feel that so-called celebrities, they are different from us. They're not. They're people. They're just like us. They're the same people. Some people work in offices. Some people work in schools. Some people work in Some people drive buses, some people work in studios, some people work in front of the camera, some people work behind the camera. They're just doing a job and they're celebrated for the job they're doing. But you look at them, they're regular people. They're just people and they deal with life exactly the way you and I do. There is no difference. So how we deal with this and how we use this knowledge is the same way they use the knowledge. There isn't much of a difference. In fact, they would be more thirsty for it because their lives are constantly. It's not easy being in in the public view all the time, and especially now with social media. You sneeze and it's out there. So there is no privacy. There's nothing. It's not easy for them to deal with that and live with that. And yeah, every human being just wants to go into that quiet, silent space inside. Everyone's really looking for it. That is your thirst. Every human being, regardless of what one does, their thirst is to find that quiet, deep space within. Uh, People just look for it in different places. Some look for it in money, some look for it in power, some look for it in relationships, some look for it in fame. But actually, what everyone is looking for is here. So when they come here, they go into silence, they meditate. That's when they feel a sense of fulfillment. And this has been my experience with everyone across the board, whoever it is. I have taught royalty also. I have taught celebrities also. I have taught businessmen also. I have taught industrialists also. I have taught, like poor people also. I have taught everyone, meaning 28 years, right? I've taught across the board. I've taught everyone, all kinds of people. And it is the same thing. Beyond what someone does on the outside, they are people, they're human beings. It's just what they do is different, but they're the same people, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that brings me to our next point. You mentioned about the value of taking a course live with an enlightened master. And this upcoming global silent retreat is happening on a very special full moon called Guru Purnima. Can you explain the significance of Guru Purnima in your experience? Maybe a story or something around that.
See, first and foremost, I don't have many Guru Purnima stories simply because, for some reason, ever since I've met Gurudev, or even before, from what I hear, all his Guru Purnimas have been celebrated over here in America. I don't know why he has done that. Just once he was in India, and oh, that was crazy. People from all over the country came to the ashram, meaning literally there was no place to house them. You cannot send them away. You cannot send people who've come to the guru. Anyone who the guru will never turn. This reminds me of once. We were in Germany, I think. I can't remember. We were somewhere in Europe, and Gurudev was invited to a church, and he was sitting there, in front of the altar. He was just sitting there, and someone took a picture of him from the back. It was such a beautiful photograph, and they showed it to him because you see what a beautiful picture. They brought it to him, and he took that picture. I was sitting right there. He took that picture and he ripped it and he chucked it. And he says, "This photo will never be published. I will never turn my back on anyone."
Wow.
So that somehow, so I'm relating it to this story that, there were so many people who came from all over the country to the ashram, and there's no way we're going to send anyone back home, or there's no way we're going to tell anyone there's no place for you in the ashram. So place had to be made for people. All the rooms were occupied. There were multiple people staying in rooms to full capacity. The dining hall had been converted into a place for people to stay. Every square inch of the ashram So much so that there were even, there were the buildings that were under construction. There were mattresses put over there, under construction buildings, and blankets and stuff were given to people. And all night Gurudev stayed awake. He went from person to person, making sure each person was okay, comfortable, had eaten, had water. This, I'm telling you, this only he can do. I have never seen, you can't even imagine. There were thousands of people, thousands of people. There were like over 100,000 people for sure that day. He went to everyone. And that was like so Guru Purnima, it's a huge deal to be with your master, to be with the Guru on Guru Purnima. It's a huge deal. So, but we've had that opportunity only once in India, and otherwise it's always been in the US. It's a special day, very special day. Um, it's also called Vyas Purnima. No, it was one of the rishis, Vyas Rishi, for those who are, you know, not aware of it. And so it's celebrated as his birthday. And so basically, it's considered the day of the enlightened, of the masters, Guru Purnima, right? The full moon night, which is dedicated to the masters. But when you listen to Gurudev talk, he will say that this is actually the day of the devotee. It is the most precious day in the year for anyone on the spiritual path. It is on this day that you can look back and reflect and just see that you can gauge your progress. On that day, that's what we usually do. We just look back and we say, you know, where were we last year at this time, and where are we today? Where were we before we came onto the path, and where are we today? What is our progress? How far have we come? It's a very special day for anyone on the spiritual path. It's a day of gratitude, because see, we can have like a candle. This is, again, I say this all the time. Like a candle, it has full potential to light, but till you don't bring a flame close to it, it will not light. It cannot light. It has full potential, but you need to bring a lit match or something, some flame for it to light. So this is the day where a devotee is given a chance. It's just one day where the devotee sits and just feels the gratitude for that lit flame that has come into a devotee's life, because that has been the thirst of the soul for lifetimes. For lifetimes, the soul has really, really been in thirst for that flame to come and light it. So that is what Guru Purnima is all about to me. It's just that gratitude that, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Once again, I am. And I want to continue, as well as extend an invitation to all those viewers who've been curious about Guru Purnima and the online silent retreat. So please make sure you also embark on this journey and experience the light in your lives. uh, and we titled this series as Bliss by the Bay, Celebrating Silence. And I just feel it's an extreme honor, as well as good luck, I feel, to be able to host you today or tonight, and it's so wonderful that the conversation steered across silence, celebration, light, and all those moments where I'm sure all of our viewers will be, or okay, let me just see what it is, or even if I've experienced silence before, this is something phenomenal and I will go for it. So once again, reminder for that. And we have the early bird discount, which is till the 21st. So please make use of that as well.
So I did have a question on that. So, Sangeeta ji, here in the Bay Area, I'm sure there are a lot of volunteers and teachers who are also watching this. And I know you have spent so much time uh, spreading this knowledge in not just India, but across the world. And you really, from the way you express and talk about this, it's certainly not just important, but also a fortune to be able to spread this knowledge. So, for since our early bird is ending tomorrow, any message for the volunteers and teachers here in the Bay Area who really want the Bay Area to go to the next step of enlightenment or just progress on their own paths?
They don't need any message from me. Everyone knows what they want to do. Everyone is driven. I mean, I know, the ones in the Bay Area, all over the US, actually very dear to me. I've spent so many years of my life. I've given so many years of my life to that area, and everyone's very dear to me. And I know them all, and I know that they're all self-driven. And I know that, even though they lead such busy lives and they have so much going on, but, you know, priority in their hearts is spreading this knowledge and, bringing happiness to people. That is the priority for everyone, is giving everyone comfort and bringing happiness. And they're all my angels. They know what to do. They're doing it. Yeah.
Um, that's fantastic. I did also want to ask you to throw some light on one of your experiences, which was so profound. I read about it when you were in, I think, the Bay Area, and there was an earthquake, and there's a whole story around that.
Once we had this advanced course in the Bay Area. Where was it, in Palo Alto somewhere? I think it was in Palo Alto, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the name of the hotel. And it was a big course. I think it was Gurudev's birthday course that we were celebrating over there. And at that, I think it was his birthday. This makes sense. I think it was his birthday. And that was a, fairly large course. And he was sitting there on the swing. In those days, we had one swing. Niruji Shah, Niruben Shah, she had a swing. She still has that swing. And that swing would go wherever Gurudev went, in California. And he would sit on that swing. So that swing was there at the hotel, and he was sitting on the swing, and then all the participants were sitting around. And he was just on the swing, and he was just generally talking. He was saying some story he was talking about. And he said, when an enlightened takes birth, when an enlightened of something, he said, takes birth, then the earth shakes. He said that, and suddenly the earth started shaking. There was an earthquake over there. There was an earthquake that happened. And not only that, the earth is shaking. We're in this big, huge room. Not one person got up. Not one person showed any sign of fear. Everyone just sat there still and calm, just staring at him. When you have a master, it gives you so much security. It's blanket security. You feel so safe, so secure that you don't want to go anywhere, because that is, even though you're in a building, that's the safest place to be. And you just know that in your heart. The same thing had once happened in Rishikesh. We were in Rishikesh, and in the middle of the night, there was an earthquake. And everyone ran out of their rooms and ran straight towards Gurudev's room. They could have gone out, right? Usually people run out of the building. They don't go into a building. Everyone ran towards his room because security is there.
Wow.
I think we've been talking for a long time, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah. I
You are
didn't feel the
more,
time.
but
Yeah. We
But
certainly
I'm
could go
sure
on.
others have some plans. I'm sure they all want to get going with their day.
Yeah, we
We'll do
have
this
a lot
again.
of.
And,
Sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I said we can do this another day, another time again. See, everyone must be, it's probably, how long has it been we've been talking?
I think
almost an hour.
around 45,
Almost
50
an
minutes.
hour, isn't it? That's a long time.
It has been, but thank you so much again. We've covered, like Cavalier said, we covered the celebration aspect of silence, being inspired from within, understanding our value. But I think the key takeaway for me from this was that our courses work on grace, and I think there was nobody else who could have put across that message better than you. Um, we had titled this as The Grace of Silence, and it's so beautifully just flowed along with that title. So thank you so much, Sangeeta ji. You've brightened up our Saturday morning. Uh, we are one day before the International Day of Yoga, and this was the perfect start to our Yoga Day weekend.
So, are you all going to experience the eclipse over there as well?
Uh, I mean, the effect is lesser on this side of the world. In fact, my dad just texted me those details. So yeah.
So, during the eclipse, even if it's a little, if it's affecting even a little bit, just kind of just take care. Yeah. Just, I'm sure you'll all be chanting along with us, won't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Just
Hanuman
chant
Chalisa.
along, chant along, meditate, do all that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And be happy. Good luck to all of you. Take care. Also be safe. Yeah, I know everything's opened up, but I hope everyone's still being careful. Be home as much as possible. Don't just go out everywhere. Till the end of July, August, at least, be careful, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Sangeeta
much.
ji. And again, for all our viewers, the early bird ends tomorrow. So if you had any questions till today, I'm sure those have been answered. So please let us know if you have any other follow-up questions, and we'll be happy to help you sign up for the course. We look forward to seeing all of you on the Global Art of Silence retreat starting July 1st. And we hope to celebrate with all of you. Thank you again, Sangeeta ji. I know it's very
Thank
late in
you.
Bombay. It's
Jai
been a
Gurudev, not at all. It's been lovely talking to all of you. Every time I come back, every time I talk to America, I feel like I'm home.
Oh.
we also feel that you've come
Yes.
home to us. So
Yeah.
it's so nice.
Jai Gurudev. Good
Jai
night.
Guru.